All right. My name is Alex. I'm the founder of Hostage Tape, folks. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So, today we are going to continue to talk about all things building the brand. I want to give you guys a chance to ask me any questions on whatever you want to know about Hostage Tape. Why I named it that, how we built it, challenges we ran into, where we're going with the brand, some of the big time people that we work with, whatever you guys want to know, whatever you want to talk about. That's what this is for. I'm going live. I'm trying to stick to going live every every day around noonish this time here, so that you guys can get to know me. I can get to know you guys, right? And we can build and cultivate, who we are as the Hostage Tape Army. What we're trying to do. I'm also I'm also live on YouTube. I've got my Instagram. I'm pulling my best Gary V here. I'm trying to go live on multiple different things. I've got my Instagram and I've got my YouTube uh, going live here also. So trying to do more live streaming as what Gary V talks about. I think the future the future of social is authenticity, and you can't be any more authentic than having live stream and talking live on camera to your followers, to your audience. So we're trying to do more of that, trying to cultivate more of that. So you guys can get to know us as we continue to grow and scale and continue to change so many people's lives. Okay. All right. So somebody had a question. Uh, Ripcord Run. Good day. I'm guessing you're not in the U.S. Good day. You down in Australia. What is the advantage of hostage tape and how does it help? Great question. So, what hostage tape is at its core, it is a way to keep your mouth shut so that you breathe through your nose. Okay. Now, what that does, breathing through our nose and keeping our mouth shut, that is going to stop snoring. So, if you're a snorer, like I was, and a lot of people are, keeping your mouth shut is going to stop snoring. And for some of you, maybe it doesn't stop, but it severely reduces snoring. Okay. So that's number one. Number two is you're going to get more oxygen in your body because when you breathe through your nose, you're actually get Boston. Oh, you must be real excited then, huh? Go Pats. I'll be honest, I'm a Pats fan. I'm a big Pats fan. I love me some Tom Brady. As you can see, I'm a football player. I was. Love Tom Brady, and I think this is the second coming of the Patriots. I think this is the Patriots Dynasty 2.0 with what Vrabel is doing up there, and Drake May is the second coming of Tom Brady. So that's my belief. So, anyways, um, oh, awesome, dude. Are you? Oh, you're the basketball guy. Sweet, dude. That's awesome. You're the founder of the B3B basketball community. Lots of stress during the day. So, dude, absolutely, man. Your sleep is everything. Awesome. Yeah, I was looking at your account, basketball. I was looking at your account last night. Awesome, dude. Cool content. I mean, myself, I'm a football guy. I've got another account where I talk football. I do. I've got it's QB Grip. So if you guys are interested, it's at QB Grip on Instagram, where I actually break down quarterback grips, and then I've started doing these longer pieces on our YouTube channel for QB Grip, where we dive into the 10 things you didn't know about these quarterbacks. And so I did a Drake May. So I did 10 things you didn't know about Drake May. I've done 10 things you didn't know about Josh Allen, 10 things you didn't know about Bo Nix. So trying to create some really cool, interesting content around quarterbacks and football on the other channel. Because you'll see when you watch those that everything is sponsored, brought to you by Hostage Tape because it's me doing it. So, but so Pro Bowl's not fixed, dude. It's not. That's a conspiracy theory that people wanna. It The NFL is not rigged, guaranteed. Not. It's not. I didn't play in the NFL, but I played pro ball. Okay, that kind of stuff is not rigged. It's not. Okay. Um, so to go back to the person's question that they were asking about what does mouth tape actually do? So again, mouth tape is gonna get you more oxygen in your body because what a lot of people don't know is that breathing through your nose is different than breathing through your mouth. When you breathe through your nose, it triggers the release of nitric oxide and it's filtering, it's warming, and it's humidifying the air before it gets to your lungs. So all of those things that are happening through the nose, it's optimizing the delivery of the oxygen into your lungs into your body. So then your body is going to get more oxygen, what we call uptake. Okay. And so those two things alone, the reducing and stopping snoring, and then the better oxygen uptake, like are really the biggest, most noticeable things that if you've been a mouth breather your whole life and then you start mouth taping, that you wake up and you can't believe how you feel. I know when I mouth taped the first time, I couldn't believe the the amount of energy that I had. It was like I felt energized, but it was probably just because I actually finally felt normal. I felt like how I was supposed to feel because I had been mouth breathing my entire life and wasn't getting the rest and recovery that I should have been getting. So now the other thing that's happening there is, believe it or not, your body needs CO2. And so when you breathe out of your mouth, you're actually exhaling more CO2 than your body wants you to. And so then the level of CO2 in your body drops and the oxygen that you intake can't get used. This is without getting too scientific, this is called the Bohr effect. So there's a one for one exchange of CO2 and oxygen. Okay. So when oxygen comes in, a CO2 goes out. And that's the only way for our body to use oxygen. And so if we're taking all this oxygen in and we don't have enough CO2, then our body can't use all the oxygen. All right. But if we slow down the amount we're exhaling and we have more CO2 in the body, now the oxygen that's coming in, our body can actually use it. And we don't have to take in as much air. So that's another thing that people think is, well, I can't get as much air in through my nose compared to my mouth. But that's the thing is you don't need to get more air in. You just need to do a better job of using the air that you're getting in and turning it into an oxygen uptake for your body. Okay. So that's what's doing. The nose is helping the efficiency, right, of getting exactly more oxygen. That's like what Gary Brecka talks about all the time, for sure. So absolutely. Yeah, so somebody on the other channel was talking about congestion. So when you breathe through your nuts, another thing. When you breathe through your nose, it naturally decongests your nose. And so a fear that a lot of people have when they mouth tape is that when you mouth tape, your nose is going to get stuffy and you're going to suffocate and die. But that's not true. That's not the way the body works. In fact, when you mouth breathe, that creates congestion in your nose. It's sending a signal to your brain to start creating mucus and it fills up the nose. Okay. So then when we keep our mouth shut, then now we're using our nose and it naturally starts to decongest and then open up. So absolutely. Here's another wild thing about mouth taping is when you mouth breathe, the saliva in your mouth actually dries up and there's good bacteria in the saliva. That good bacteria, that saliva protects the enamel of your teeth and protects you from getting cavities and from having like awful morning breath. But when you mouth tape, it protects that saliva so then it's not drying out because when you mouth breathe, now the saliva dries out, bad bacteria forms, and it makes you way more prone to cavities. So cavities start to form, your teeth start to look like crap, and you get really bad morning breath. So keeping your mouth shut and mouth taping really helps completely transform your teeth and your mouth. So here's a good story about the dentist. So we have a lot, we have a ton of dentist partners who the dentist is by far the best person who can identify if you're a mouth breather. And this more of the new age dentists, the natural dentists, they're hugely on board with mouth taping because they understand it. It's the really old school ones that don't really understand it because of old school medical school and all that and dental schools. I don't think really understood mouth breathing and nasal breathing like they do now and how that shifted. But all the new age dentists, all the natural dentists, they recommend a hostage tape and mouth taping to their patients because they can identify them as mouth breathers 100%. But so I went to the dentist one day, and I don't go to the dentist that often. The only time I usually go is when I take the kids to the dentist. So I went into the dentist, and I probably go every couple years. I don't go as much as I should, but so I went into the dentist and I sat down in the chair, and the lady comes over and she starts talking to me, and then she starts doing the initial cleaning and starts looking at my teeth. And they go through the cleaning and then they measure the gums, all that stuff. And as she's going through and she's measuring the gums, she's going, huh, interesting. And then she's recording what she's recording. And eventually she goes, so your gums and your teeth look way better than the last time you were in here. What have you been doing? And there was a couple year gap of the last time that I was in. And I said, I'll be honest, I don't floss my teeth really that well. I brush my teeth twice a day, once in the morning and once at night. That's it. I don't do anything crazy out of the ordinary special. I mean, and then I also certainly I don't drink soda and I don't eat a ton of sugar. But I said the biggest thing I was doing is I mouth tape every single night. And she goes, that's it. And so the fact that I was mouth taping and I wasn't mouth breathing anymore, my the the health of my teeth and my gums completely transformed. And now I had a really healthy mouth, healthy gums, and everything was going in the opposite direction compared to how it used to look when I was a mouth breather. So pretty wild. It's a pretty wild benefit that again you didn't expect. I did not expect that mouth taping was going to help my my oral health and my teeth at all. So, but so anyways, all right, let's go back to anyways. If you have any questions, guys, please put them in the chat here. Um, I think I addressed the other question that somebody had about the yeah, they said, will your nose automatically open if stuffed or something while sleeping? Um, yeah. So again, the question that somebody had was when you're mouth taping, a concern that people have is my nose going to get stuffy? Is it going to get stuffed up and I'm going to suffocate if I've got my mouth covered? And so no, what what happens? Your body wants to breathe through its nose, and so what's going to happen is when you shut your mouth and you breathe through your nose naturally starts to decongest because that's how our body was designed to breathe. The only the only time where that wouldn't be the case is if you have like um, allergies or something, like some other thing that might be affecting it. So your nose will naturally open up as you start to breathe through your nose. That's because that's just the way the body works. Somebody asked, "Are your ships free from plastic and chemicals?" Yes, all of our tape is non-toxic materials. It's medical grade. materials, hypoallergenic, all that. So you can absolutely feel great knowing that this is high quality, a tape that you're going to put in your mouth and it's going to be safe, 100%. All right, so let's see here. Again, if you got any other questions, please put them in there. I'm going to try to talk about some other things. So let's see. I've got a list of things I could talk about. Let's see. Here's a topic: debunking myths in our industry. Okay, here's a here's a myth. Here's something I talked about this yesterday, but I'll talk about it again because people need to hear this. Do not buy mouth tape on Amazon, folks. Look, I have Amazon and I buy a ton of stuff on Amazon. We all do. It's easy, okay? But do not buy mouth tape on Amazon, okay? And the reason is mouth tape, we're not on Amazon. Hostage tape, we're the biggest mouth tape brand in the world, folks. We're not on Amazon. We do not sell on Amazon. We're also banned. We're not allowed to sell on Amazon because mouth tape is a banned category. Amazon banned the sale of mouth tape. So us and other legitimate mouth tape brands are not on Amazon. But what Amazon refuses to do, Amazon refuses to enforce the rule on all these crappy little unsafe knockoffs that you don't know who these companies are or who's selling it or what this stuff is made of. So they're making the sale of mouth tape on Amazon even less safe because they're allowing all of these unsafe, no name crap brands on there. So you don't know what you're getting. So do not buy it on Amazon, folks. Okay. You're only going to want to buy it from trusted sources like us, Hostage Tape. We've sold 51 million of these things. Okay. You're only going to want to get it from us directly from the source. If you're getting mouth tape that looks like this, it's not Hostage Tape. Okay. We actually own the IP around this color, this shape, everything. Nobody else can do this except for us. Okay. All right. Somebody had a question about Drake May. Who should win the MVP, Drake May or Stafford? Matt Stafford, hands down. Um, I love Drake May. I like Matt Stafford. What Drake May did, amazing, amazing season for a kid who's going to be the second youngest quarterback to start a Super Bowl in NFL history behind Dan Marino. But I think you have to look at statistically. You can't always take the quarterback who led the team to a Super Bowl as the MVP. That just can't be the measure of what makes somebody an MVP. Okay. And I think if you look at the statistics on what Stafford did, like hands down, the best stats, I think, in the league of any of the quarterbacks. And so I think you have to go with Stafford. I think it's hard. It's hard not to to think that Matt Stafford's the hands down MVP. Now, yeah, would it be cool to give it to a young kid like Drake May? Of course, but it's almost like it goes along with the controversy in the Hall of Fame. Like if you give the MVP to Drake May, then it's almost like, okay, come on, what are we doing here? Because is he going to get the MVP just because he led the Pats to the Super Bowl, or what? Okay, now the Hall of Fame, that's another huge. I got a huge issue with that, right? The fact that so the controversy about that is um, Matt Stafford. He's the quarterback for the Rams, LA Rams. So the the Hall of Fame, the issue there is so I think it's a 5 year period. You have to be retired from the NFL for at least 5 years, and then once you're eligible, then you get voted in to the Hall of Fame. And there's always a handful of guys who are what we call first ballot Hall of Famers. And they're usually like the GOATs, the greatest of these positions that we've seen, haven't seen in a long time, right? Guys like Peyton Manning, Joe Montana, Dane Marino, you know, all those kind of guys are first ballot Hall of Fame guys. Once they become available to join the Hall of Fame, they get voted in first ballot. It's not even a question. And so for Bill Belichick to get snubbed as not being a first ballot Hall of Famer, I would agree with all of the other NFL guys, all of the other big NFL names who have, like Troy Aikman's a great example of this. He's a Hall of Famer, right? And he's a voice of Monday Night Football, and he's a guy who, you know, you want to listen to. And he said it best. He's like, look, I think this is a huge black eye on the Hall of Fame. And I think it's going to create a cloud over this 2026 class of that's the class that Bill Belichick should have been in, but got snubbed and didn't get in for some unknown stupid reason that somebody wants to make a point with. And I don't know what the point they think they're trying to make is, other than making them look stupid and now discrediting the Hall of Fame. Because what are we talking about here? If Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer and we're questioning his legitimacy of being in the Hall of Fame, then you question the legitimacy of who's voting, because Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time. Like, that's not even a question. Not even a question. Right? It's not. Love him or hate him, the greatest NFL coach of all time. And he's getting snubbed from the Hall of Fame because I would imagine there's some people in that group that think that they want to try to make a point by probably waiting a year and they'll let him in next year. Doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. So that's my take on that. So yeah, so you're saying there should be more than 50 voters in the Hall of Fame. There's almost 400 for it. Yeah, I don't know. And you know what's interesting is I wonder who they are. I'm not sure if they're publicly known, and I'm not sure who the makeup is. If it's like if they're just specific media journalists or what. I don't know. But you would have to think that the guys in charge of the Hall of Fame make sure they're putting the right people that they believe are making these decisions and these votes. You know, I would say this. I don't think I don't think the Hall of Fame needs more voters. I mean, it's not like there's five, right? But I don't think they need 400. So hostage tape is the best. Love it. Absolutely, man. Tell me how long. B Beauchamp 0120, man. Tell me where are you from? Where are you chatting from? Where are you watching from? And tell me how long you've been using hostage tape. Love it. But on the Hall of Fame, I don't think we need 400 voters. In fact, I think that's too many. It's like too many cooks in the kitchen. Like, you don't need that many people. And then you don't need to make the process that friggin' complicated, you know? But because I think there is an element of like, you want the Hall of Fame to be special. You want the people that are voted in to be the right people. And I think if you feel good about the voters that you have, you don't need to have too many. But that's then the question is like who are the voters? What qualifies them to be the voters? Um, is it the same people every year? If there's some guys that have turned bad, can they get rid of them? You know, like I think there's a whole process there too. So that we don't know. Somebody said, oh, he said B Beauchamp 0120. I'm from Mississippi, a little over a year. Awesome. Love it, dude. Love it. Are you an Ole Miss fan, or is that like Ole Miss? Obviously, like I can relate. It's you guys had Ole Miss had an amazing year, and then for Lane to leave and go to LSU, like I think he did an amazing thing for the program. It would have been cool. It would have been cool to actually see him stay. I was actually hoping Lane wouldn't leave to go to LSU and he was going to stay and build Ole Miss maybe into like just this amazing program. But I think at the end of the day, it comes down to, and what I think what he's communicated is that college football is a different game. Um, okay. Yeah, college football is a different game than it was when I was younger and when I played. It's a game of NIL now. Until they change the rules, the game is purely a how big of a donor base or NIL base, whoever's paying all that shit, how big of an NIL pot do I have for the program? Because whoever's got the most money is going to have the best ability to be able to bring in whoever they want. Now, it doesn't mean, obviously, Indiana is a great example of like, well, they did it. Yeah, okay. But what I would say is it's not like you know LSU is kind of like the Yankees at this point now, right? The Yankees always had the most money, and so now the LSU I think has probably the most amount of money to be able to use for NIL. And certainly that doesn't mean having the best players at every position doesn't mean you're going to have the best, most successful teams. It just doesn't. But it gives Lane leverage to be able to attract whoever he wants, and then he can pick who he wants that then allow him to build the teams that he wants to build and then retain these kids as they do well, knowing that then these kids as they succeed, they're not going to leave and go to another program, because that's the problem is these kids do well, in a year or two at a program, and then they go into the portal thinking then they're going to go to a bigger and better team for more money. So when you're at a place like LSU with now the money that he's got now, that's not a possibility. So, but I think what they need to do is they need to revamp the whole NIL system, in that these kids should not be making that much money. They just shouldn't. And there needs to be contract in place where if you're going to come to a school and commit and then in turn get this amount of money for NIL, you then have to sign a contract, and that contract is going to be for, whatever you agreed to. If whether it's 1 year, whether it's 2 years, whether it's 3 years, all that stuff. Okay. All right, somebody said DJ hostage tape. What's good? I like the new adhesive on the latest tape I got. Dude, I love it, man. Yeah, we're always trying. So what he's talking about here? So Christopher, he's talking about. So we made some updates to our tape, and I'll tell you why we did it and what we did. I love the fact that you're telling us it was a good update. That's good. So we did a couple of things. The adhesive is a little bit stronger, definitely. It's a much higher quality adhesive, and we changed the backing. And so what we found is every time brand new people were getting the old tape, the old tape looked like this. So every time we would see a brand new customer interact with it, they would always try to peel the tape like this, and it was not a very good experience out of the box for people. because they didn't know inherently was pull it. It's not intuitive to know that. I didn't know that. I'm the founder of the company and I created this stuff. And the very first samples that I got to me, I didn't even know that I was trying to peel. But just when you give the product to people and you watch them interact with it, that was very obvious. So then we knew, okay, we have to change that. So now changing to this style of backing makes the initial user experience so much better for them to they can just grab an edge and they can just peel it right off like that. So it makes that ability to use the tape the first time so much easier. Okay. Now, the other thing that you can do is this is paper, so you could still rip and then pop it just like the old stuff. Okay? So just like that. You can still do that. But I'm awesome. I love that you're loving the tape and that you're loving how it's working for you and you're loving what it's doing. Now tell me, Christopher, is it what did you feel? Like how long did it take for you to feel the effects? Was it did it take one night? Did it take a week? And were you like a big time snorer and the wife slept in the other room or what? What happened? So while he's typing and answering here, yeah, going back to the NIL, um, there's just not enough rules. Not enough rules in NIL in college football. And personally, I hate college football, especially what it's turned into. I really hate it. I just love watching the NFL. I'm an NFL guy. I can't wait to see the Super Bowl here this weekend. It's an awesome Super Bowl. Great stories of two quarterbacks in completely different parts of their career. It's awesome to see. So you had, so Christopher, you experienced the the tape in one night. That's awesome. That's common. That's what a lot of people feel. I mean, that's what how I felt. But that's awesome that you wore the tape literally the first night you woke up and you probably felt like $1 million. You probably were like, "What the hell have I been doing my whole life?" And now this. So, oh, we got a troll. Oh, Abdusaman 05. You want a troll? Is that what you want to do? Awesome. Keep it up, buddy. But night one, uh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's pretty. It's pretty common that people will try the tape in one night, and then wake up the next day and feel it because when you've been a mouth breather your entire life, it's um, you just don't know. You don't have any context. You just have no idea that like you've been breathing wrong your entire life. So when you finally do breathe right, it's a jolt to the system because your body's finally recovering, right? You're finally getting the oxygen that you need, right, to be able to like be the man that you're supposed to be. So, all right, so you've been using it for a month now. That's awesome. Fantastic, man. Here, I'll show you this. So, do if you didn't know, so we've got a couple other really cool things. So if you didn't get a tin, you're gonna want to get a tin. What's great about the tin is you can you can store all your tape in it, keep it right by your bedside, right? Or you can take it with you if you travel quite a bit. All right. All right. So you Christopher said the only thing that I'd say is a little crazy about the tape is that the adhesive is so strong. I gotta make sure after I take the tape off that there's no residue left over. It can be strong for sure. I mean, we made it that way for a reason. I would say that it could have been a lot stronger, but I purposely wanted to have I wanted to try to find a balance of it not being so strong, but then also not being so weak. And so I would rather be a little bit too strong than not strong enough because then at least if it's too strong, here's like what you could do. If it's too strong, um, you can put it on your hand and then take it off Like there are things you can do, or you can even put some little bit of chapstick on the lips. Okay, there's things you can do to help make it just a little bit less sticky that you can play with and try. But if it's not sticky enough, then there's nothing you can do, and it's just going to fall off and then not work at all. So it's finding that balance, right? And everybody's skin's a little bit different. And then not only that, but you're going to find, Christopher, that depending upon where are you located, because depending upon where you are, if it's humid, if it's dry, you're going to find that the tape might stick a little bit differently different times throughout the season, throughout the year. So like I'm in Minnesota where in the wintertime it's really dry, but then in the summer it's really humid. So then in the winter here it sticks a little bit better, like it's harder when I wake up, but then in the summertime when it's more humid, it peels off a lot easier and it doesn't stick so harsh because again, I'm in the climate that I'm in. So if you're in SoCal and Texas, yeah, so you've got kind of a similar climate than I do, where in the I think in the summer it gets pretty humid, hot and humid, but then in the wintertime it gets more drier. Yeah, so you're gonna experience it's gonna stick harder at this time of the year, and then when you get into the summer when it gets more humid, it won't stick quite as hard because there's more moisture in the air. So, but awesome. That's awesome, dude. Oh, here I was going to show you. So you have the tin. If you didn't have one of these, okay, and we just got our nasal sticks back into stock. These things are awesome. So what this is these are they're all natural. They're made of essential oils, natural essential oils, and menthol. And before I go to bed, I'll pull this thing out, take a couple of huffs. You can feel the burn, and it helps open the sinuses and opens the nose right up. Okay. And then I put my mouth tape on. I also will take this with me when I go to the gym. So I'll go to the gym and take a couple of huffs of this again just to reinforce making sure my nose is open, all that. And then we've got our nasal strips too. I don't have the package here in front of me. I got a package here behind me. This is my TikTok live studio. So if anybody wants, I do a TikTok shop live session every night, right around like 9 ish Central Time, and I do it from my chair over there. But we've got nasal strips too, and these have a plastic strip in them. Awesome, dude. I love it. I love the fact that the see that's what's awesome is the amount of people like game changer. I almost should have called it game changer tape because the amount of people who say this is a game changer. There's so many people say that to me. So many people say that in the reviews. This is a game changer. It's a life changer, right? I'll get people. I'm always on brand everywhere I go, and so I'll be out and about, and I'll get people come up to me and they'll say, "Hey, do you work for Hostage Tape?" And I'll say, "Well, I'm actually the founder." And they go, "Get out of here, dude! I've been wearing Hostage Tape for 6 months and it changed my life." Or they'll say, "I've been wearing Hostage Tape for 3 months and it changed my marriage or saved my marriage." Those kind of things. I get that all the time, especially in the airport when I'm traveling. People always see me and they'll uh, they'll give me a shout out or they'll fist bump me or like I was in the Delta Sky Lounge um, the last time here, and I was sitting there with my family. This guy gets up. I see him because I can see people looking at me and recognizing me. Like people will look at me, they'll give me a look, or they'll like take a picture of me, or they'll film me. I get all sorts of stuff like that. This guy got up, walked over, and he gave me a fist bump, and he told me, he's like, "Hey, I just started wearing this, completely changed my life, and I just wanted you to know, thank you." So, all right. So Christopher had said, been wearing the tape for a few years. now, and if I get less sleep than ideal with the tape on, I'm ready to roll. Awesome. Yeah, that's actually what Rogan said. So, if you guys uh, didn't see it, Joe Rogan, one of our most well-known users, he just shouted us out on his podcast with Bert Kreischer just this last week here, episode 2445, right on the hour 45-minute mark. And Rogan was saying that he goes, look, I can get less sleep and if I'm wearing hostage tape, I'll feel as if I got um, more sleep than without it. So again, he's saying he can wear when he wears hostage tape, he feels like he doesn't have to sleep as long to get more rest and to feel more recovered every day. So that's awesome. But yeah, again, I was saying the nose strip. So this was also the other thing too. Like you wear this on your nose, and it can open the nose right up. I'll wear this when I go to the gym, when I go for runs, especially when I go for a run. Right now, I'm in Minnesota where it's really cold and icy, so I don't really go for a run quite that much right now. But I like to wear these when I work out. So Super Bowl. All right. So Super Bowl. I'm really excited about this Super Bowl. I'm more excited for the Super Bowl than I have in a few years because we got two teams with two amazing stories at quarterback. You've got the young kid, the second youngest kid in history, behind Dan Marino to start a Super Bowl, and Drake May. And then you've got the journeyman Sam Darnold, who was just here in Minnesota, right? I was really close. I saw Sam Darnold the whole year. I loved what I saw out of him, and so it doesn't surprise me that he had a great year in Seattle because that was a chance for him to go to a team and for them to say, Sam, you're the guy. We're building the offense around you, and then it was his car to drive from the beginning, and then to develop something really cool with that Seattle team. And then he took it and he ran with it. So you've got two amazing stories of guys on either side, of their career. I'm going Patriots. I'm a Patriot fan. I love Tom Brady, and so from the years of rooting on for Tom Brady, I'm a Patriot fan. I love the Patriots, and I'm super impressed with Drake May. And I think as much as you can look in Seattle, Seattle is, I think, absolutely um, they're the favorite because their defense is unreal and their offense is really good. They've got weapons. They can sling it around. They can do stuff. But I there's just something about that I think the Patriots have. I think there's just some intangible quality that teams have, and I think the Patriots is one of those teams that have that. I think Vrabel has done a great job with that team, and there's something about there's obviously a Bill Belichick aura about the team, of course, right? You've got Vrabel, you've got his offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels. There's everything about Bill Belichick is still there, and there's that magic of what Bill left with all of those coaches that exists that you can't ignore. And Robert Kraft and the organization and the history and everything. And then you've got Drake May, who it totally this feels like the old Patriots for sure. This feels like Patriots 2.0. It totally does. And it seriously could not be a better, like Mike Vrabel to be the head coach could not have been a better choice to be the head coach for this team, to take the mantle of the old and make it the new for sure. And then Drake May feels like Tom Brady 2.0, but better. Better in the sense that Drake May is so much of a better athlete, so much better equipped and prepared than Tom Brady ever was. Now, that could be a negative. I mean, certainly the positive for somebody like Tom Brady was he had to work and he had a chip on his shoulder and he had to try to prove everybody wrong and he had something he was working towards. So there's that compared to, a lot of these quarterbacks that are just great and have everything handed to them. Sometimes they don't always do so great and they're not challenged or they've never been challenged. And so when they finally are challenged at a high level, they fold, you know? So you got a guy like Brady who he's had to fight his whole life. Now, you could probably argue that, like Drake May was a stud in high school. He was a stud at North Carolina, but North Carolina, not really a top tier program. So maybe there was some challenge there of the fact that he went to North Carolina. And I don't know much about his college career, but maybe there was some challenge there that he had. I think he was sitting behind um, a couple of guys. Oh, I forget his name. I think there was a guy in the NFL who was ahead of him. Was it Sam? Anyways, so for sure. But this is going to be a great Super Bowl. I'm excited. I can't wait to watch it. And then, everything around the Super Bowl and watching football for me is I get to eat all my favorite things. I get to eat pizza. I love pizza. I got to try to watch, how much of that stuff I eat, but I love eating that pizza. I love eating wings, right? Um, so love it. All right. Somebody said, any tips on how do I create a hostage tape alternative? Why would I tell you that, man? I'm not gonna tell you how to make a alternative. Get out of here. We're the biggest brand in the world, man. You want hostage tape? You want some mount tape? You can buy it from us. All right. So, um, Chris, you said, do you have a cheat day on Sundays? Oh, hell yeah. Um, especially during the NFL season, like my cheat day is absolutely like on Sundays, and I'm gonna eat tons of pizza and wings and all sorts of stuff. Totally, dude. Because usually, like throughout the week, I try to be. I'm a, I'm a one meal a day guy, so I only eat once a day, and I used to be really strict with what I ate. I I tried to avoid eating a ton of carbs, and I still do. I don't eat a ton of carbs, but I eat more carbs than I used to. I'm not as strict. I'm 46 years old. I'm 46 years old. I've got a body. I think I just measured my body fat percentage the other day. I'm at like 10%. So I'm a 46-year-old, 10% body fat guy. It's pretty damn good. Okay, for my age as I get older. And so I've become a little bit less strict on the amount of carbs that I eat. So I definitely eat. I try to eat as much protein as I can, but the the one meal a day is is absolutely important to how I live because if I didn't, then I would probably start gaining weight again and not be where I want to be for sure. Yeah, I would imagine that I definitely don't look 46. It's a good thing I didn't I could have put a filter on, make myself look even younger. It's pretty crazy. I was playing with a filter on TikTok. So when I do the TikTok streams, like you can do these crazy filters and um it's so wild to do. They've got like these cosmetic filters that either make you look more like they take your features and they exaggerate them and make you look more like a man, and it's wild to see what like it makes you look like a model, and you're like entranced in what you would look like as a model, and you're like, oh my god, I could look like this. It's pretty wild. So But this is me. I'm not using a filter. So, all right. So yeah, you said protein is essential. Yeah, I try to. The other thing that I do is I get the Fairlife protein, the the protein shakes. I get those from Amazon. I buy those like in bulk. Um, there's a great book out there called Live After Your Type, which breaks down the foods. Yeah, but I try to. One of the ways that I try to get more protein is as I drink those Fairlife protein shakes, the core protein, their core power. That's the one. Um, Logan Paul just came out with his prime ones. I should probably try those. So, but um, so I drink a lot of those, and what I try to do is I'll drink a core protein. I try to do it before I eat food, so that I'm starting off with getting protein into my gut, into my body, and that's the first thing going into my bloodstream and into my body before I'm like shoving any carbs and stuff into there. Um, but I need to get more of the core powers because my son, he's 16, and he's at that age that we all remember being 16-year-olds, where now all of a sudden he eats 5 times a day. Like, if we go get Jimmy John's, this is wild. So we love Jimmy John's. If we go get Jimmy John's, he gets three. So he'll eat three Jimmy John's in one sitting, and then more food later. And so I'm trying to focus on with him because he's playing football and he's playing baseball. I'm trying to focus on with him is we're taking our creatine multiple times a day, and he's also getting more protein because at his age he needs to be getting more protein to be building muscle, getting bigger, and getting stronger. Um, and so we're drinking these core powers like they're water, and so we're actually out. I need to get more of them, but that's what's happened is Frank, what's up, dude? Um, but we got to get more of those core powers because my son and I we keep drinking through them like crazy. And Frank, we're talking nutrition. Like, you guys want to see somebody who has got his health dialed in? Go look at Frank Madrano's Instagram account. Holy moly, that dude, you are ripped. Frank, tell us what's your body fat percentage? How old are you, Frank? And what is your body fat percentage? Because I think you're probably maybe similar to my age, and I think his body fat percentage is probably like 6% or something like that. I think it's pretty insane. But um, anyways, so but I got to get more. I got to get more of the core powers because I tell my son, I've been telling him, you got to get more protein, dude. So I told him when you get up before you go to school, drink a protein. Bring one with you when you're at school so you can have one around lunchtime. And then when you come home, drink another one. And then before we eat dinner, drink another one. So that's like 4 or 5, proteins that I want him to be getting. So, all right. So Frank just said, I'm literally wearing my hostage nose strip. Fuck yeah, dude. Awesome. Love it. I'm not wearing mine right now. Um, there we go. That's awesome. So Frank, so um, tell us, Frank, how old are you and what is your body fat percentage? Because I was just talking about that with everybody, how I'm 46 and I've got a body fat percentage of about 10%. I'm a little bit high right now. My body fat percentage for the longest time was right around like 8, like 7 to 8%. But right now I'm about 10% because I've let my carbs go a little bit. So I'm eating a little bit more carbs than normal. Because I kind of feel like, you know, I'm 46, I'm getting older. There's certain carb things that I like to eat that I don't feel so bad about. All right, so Frank, you're 47, 7 to 8%. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. I figured you and I were about the same age, and you were right around there. Totally. Then, Nick, what's going on, man? Nick Ham. Nick Ham just joined. I see him. Nick runs the Aspire Tour stuff. Love Nick. Love the Aspire Tour. He gave me a chance to speak on stage when they were here in Minnesota. That was awesome. So much fun. I love going to those things. If you guys ever get a chance to go to Aspire, go to it. They make stops all around the country, and they've got all sorts of amazing people speaking, especially guys like um, uh, I'm blank. I just blanked. They got all sorts of amazing speakers though. Guys from Shark Tank, right? All sorts of guys. It's awesome. All right. So Nick said, "What do you recommend the fastest way to get to there, Frank?" Yeah. So um, I'll tell you what I would recommend based on what I did, and then if Frank wants to chime in. But the biggest thing that I did, because there was a period where I was probably, because like right now I'm 5'11", and I'm 180 pounds, and I'm about 10% body fat. There was a period where I was about 210, and so then what I did to get down to where I am now and where Frank was at one point, it was a combination of things where I only ate once a day. That was key. And I eat dinners. Okay. Then the other thing I did is I got really strict with the carbs. So I cut all carbs out and I was only focused on protein. And then I also cut sugar out. Sugar was a huge one. It was carbs and sugar because I saw sugar as it was a delivery mechanism to fat creation, and then it would cause you to get hungry and then want to snack and have other stuff. So completely cut out sugar. And one of the ways that helped me do that was I used to love drinking soda, was drinking Zevia. So Zevia soda was a way that I could kind of feel like I'm getting my sweet tooth, but it doesn't have any sugar in it, and it uses stevia. Um, so yeah, so Frank says high protein, low sugar, walk every day, 30 minutes, intermittent fasting, 5, 6 days. Yeah. So the other part of what I would do to what Frank is saying here is I would, I actually did a lot of cardio. So I would run 3 to 5 miles every day. Now, I'm a former football player, so I had a lot of extra weight in my thighs and in other areas of my body where, you know, fortunately, I've got a lot of muscle mass already. So going on cardio runs, I wasn't worried. It was actually what I wanted to lean out. I think Ben Greenfield was a good example of this. He talked about this like a long time ago in his career of he leaned out from his bodybuilding days of doing like long cardio to help sculpt and get rid of maybe some of the excess body mass that he had. So that was something that I did. So that helped me really burn a lot of fat, a lot of extra calories and things, as well as start to sculpt and maybe and get rid of some of the extra mass that I had around my legs and my thighs. Um, but it wasn't just like the cardio; it was the fact that I was moving too. I was always moving. I was always active. I was always doing something, and then I was still getting in the weight room. But the difference is, from my days as a football player, a lot of what we did was Olympic lifts, right? It was a lot of clean squats, like pushing heavy iron around. I stopped doing all that stuff altogether, and I just focused on a lot of the stuff I think Frank does. Frank does a lot of like body weight stuff, and that's what I shifted to do too. I would just do body weight stuff, a lot of pull-ups, a lot of push-ups, dips. There's some like cable things I would do, but more natural kind of body movement, like weight type stuff. And I, I don't focus a ton on like heavy lift stuff. Um, and I don't do a ton of different things when it comes to like weightlifting, but I still do it. I would try to do it at least twice, 2 to 3 times a week, paired with I'm getting my runs in and getting enough, movement with that. So the Jocko, you think the Jocko ones are pretty good? I love Jocko, dude. Love Jocko. In fact, his whole organization, Echelon Front, big hostage tape users. In fact, they do these seminars. Um, they're called the muster. They're like these leadership seminars that they do. We send hostage tape to their muster events, and so they give out hostage tape to all the people at those echelon front muster events every year. Um, but love Jocko. Jocko's always been a big supporter of us, and then his whole team uses hostage tape. So, in fact, one of my longest running ads that we've got on Facebook is from a Jocko podcast where he's talking about hostage tape, getting your hostage tape on. So, but yeah, I haven't tried the Jocko protein though. I used to drink. He's got an energy drink that I used to drink for a while because they have them at. I go to Lifetime here, and I used to drink way too many energy drinks, and so I would drink an energy drink in the morning, and then I would go to the gym and I'd grab an energy drink when I would leave, and then I would always end up drinking another energy drink later in the day, and I'm like, all right, I got some blood work done. In fact, I think it's called like Superhuman or something. There's some blood work company out there where you can get your blood work done, and I think it's Superhuman, um, where you schedule them to come take your blood. It was the easiest thing ever, because like having to go down to a clinic and get your blood taken, it's like the worst because you don't know where it is. It takes forever to go do it. It's uncomfortable. Where instead, with the superhuman stuff, you just schedule the day and the time you want. The nurse, the phlebotomist, she came at like 6 in the morning to my house. She came in, and I hate needles. I'm not afraid to say this. I hate needles. So my wife got up, came down, and like held my hand, and I had to look at my wife while then like the phlebotomist like took the blood. But it was literally like she came in, she took the blood, and she was gone. And then I had all the blood work done within a couple of days. And from the blood work, they were like, "You need to lay off the energy drinks, dude. Like you're drinking way too much of that stuff." And so I stopped drinking as many of the energy drinks that I was doing. And so now I drink just the one in the morning when I get up, which is I drink the C4. It's the no sugar C4 energy drink, along with I'm taking my creatine every day. So, all right. So you said I'm going to go to Ways to Well here in Austin. Oh, you're in Austin. Okay, nice. Why do I? I've heard Ways to Well. I've heard that name. Um, I don't know where I've heard it before, but I've heard of that. But cool. All right, folks. Oh, yeah, yeah. Maybe that's why I've heard it because, of course, I watch Rogan like it's a religion. You know. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Awesome. All right, man. Well, all right. It's been an hour. Like I say, I I try to do these every day, right around this time, and we just talk about shoot the shit, talk about brand, answer questions, all that kind of stuff, and then tell all your friends, tell everybody. I do a TikTok shop live every night, right around 8 9 o'clock. So if anybody wants to jump on there and say hello, buy a bundle, buy one of our TikTok shop specials that we've got going on, please do join me. Let people know, and we'll see you guys either tonight or we'll see you tomorrow. Appreciate it, guys.